Welcome back, you guys. Let's finish our rendezvous. Back to old me. So I'm going to turn her all the way around. I'm going to burn towards the target just a little bit. I'm not pressing Z, I'm just pressing the shift button a little bit. Here's my marker. I'm actually moving away from it now a little bit. I'm going to bring this back up to about 2. There we go, 2. And I'm going to turn her back around because I'm going to want to retrograde. Burn retrograde, that is. And turn my thing off so that it'll just coast around. I'm going to press F5. You notice without me doing anything, my relative speed is lowering, and that's just a function of this orbit and that orbit converging. I turn my SAS back on. Press Alt and then the fast forward key, and that gives me physics warp. And you notice how it changed things a little bit when I did that. So you don't want to get too impatient with it. Again, patience is the key here, but I do want to go a little bit faster. Starting to kind of head in a bad direction here, so I'm going to slow my physics back, go back down to no warp. Face my target in. I guess I'll go back up to 3 meters per second this time. Three and a half. I'm going to let it just keep on rotating. Turn my SAS back on. Take a swig of water. Adjust my attitude to be retrograde. This isn't the best rendezvous I've ever had as far as timing. I've certainly done this faster and better, but not this early in the game. I usually have thrusters again and a bigger reaction wheel so for having such a small reaction wheel and limited pitch control, I'm actually pretty pleased with this. We're under half a kilometer now. I'm actually writing a novel, and the distance from Loly's derelict to this spacecraft is actually about the length of the spacecraft that is the primary setting for my novel, though it is about a kilometer in diameter. So alright, when we get to about 300, I am going to start to burn retrograde to slow her down a little bit. I'm going to try and also walk us a little bit closer. Just a hint. When it gets to about 320, I would say. 10 times the difference in the relative velocity. And stop. I probably actually did too much there, but I'm going to F5 one more time, because I think I'm about to do a little bit of warp. It's funny how it moved further away when I did that. You notice that? I did. I've completely killed my relative velocity, or for all intents and purposes. So I need to, once again, point towards the target and fire. Okay, I need to be very, very easy with it, because we are actually pretty close. We're getting there. Okay, so I don't know if y'all noticed, I was saving often, and I'm going to start to slow down, and I'm going to stop it, and then I'm going to switch vessels. And there's my rocket, and here's Loly. It's actually a guy. EVA, jump, R. It's quite a beautiful sight. Alright. So, you know, as far as I was being quite quiet because it does take, at least for me, some concentration to do the EVA piloting. It does just take practice and concentration to do that and do that well. But once you get the hang of it, it actually makes your flying better because, in the sense, particularly your rendezvous, because in a sense you're doing a rendezvous. You just got a really small mast ship. Perform a spacewalk, and we have performed a crew transfer. Go on an orbital spacewalk. We accomplish that. Rescue Loly from orbit. We did that, and we saved Loly. And he's part of our space program now. And I'm going to click there, and I'm going to transfer, and I'm going to click on the rear thing. And so Loly, who is a scientist, is now in this crew cabin. We can actually turn that on. And there he is, just sitting there. He's got a big smile on his face. He's like, this place is nice. Yeah. Hey. I like these new digs. I'm definitely joining this space program. They's got monies. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. That was funny. So, now that we've accomplished this, it's time to go get Moggies. So set target. One of the things I want to look into is I have 21 days of electric charge and 27 days of supplies for the one person. When I get the second person, that's going to go in half. So I have about 10 days, which I think should be enough. And if not, well, at least we have the computer to drive this sucker. So we are going to want to adjust our, this is just like going to Minimus, right? So really, ideally, you would go out right at the right spot, but I don't know that the same timing is going to work. I guess it works for the moon and everything, but getting close to the moon and rendezvousing with the ship are two very different animals. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and adjust my orbit. Even though it's kind of inefficient, I'm going to adjust my inclination. What that's going to allow me to do is go ahead and do take advantage of the old birth effect in this rendezvous. F5 that. I'm going to adjust my attitude to be on my maneuver node. I have about 2.5 minutes, a little bit less than 2.5 minutes. Alright, and so now my attitude is correct. I am going to fast forward a little bit. I'm just going to go up to 10. And then when we get to 30, I'm going to slow it down. And when we get to 10, I'm going to stop the time warp. Now, this is 5:15 and 7:31, so we still are going to have the same stage. Burning for 20 more seconds. If you look at my relative inclination, I'm going to keep going until that stops decreasing. Alright, and that's about as close as anybody could ever get. Alright, I don't know, somebody might be able to get closer, but you know what I mean. Okay, so now I got to figure out when I'm going to do my transfer. And so I am going to, first of all, focus on Kerbal, and I'm going to assume that it's just the same as the moon. It's just outside the moon, so the period ought to be close. And we'll start there, and then we'll adjust things as we need to. One of the things that could really hink things up is if the moon hits us at the wrong time. So it looks like my target is going to be ahead of me, so that means I need to go sooner. So I'm going to right click rather, and I'm going to click it up to 10, and then I'm going to increase, and then I'm going to I wonder if I'm doing that wrong. I was. Well, it's because if I slow it down, I wonder. Okay, I think I'm actually getting close. just gotta walk this in. Press F5 because that's actually pretty good. I could make it happen off of that, but I still want to get it closer. It's not doing anything for me. I can, once I get to like right here, I can fine tune this, but 45 kilometers is actually really nice and close. I mean, that would be like hitting the moon smack in the middle. So, I'll take it. I have 24 minutes, almost 3/4 of the orbit. Yeah, F5. So I don't remember if I did or not. I don't want to lose this. And then I'm going to adjust my attitude. So I know I was being quiet because I was concentrating. And quite frankly, I'll probably fast forward through that for you guys. So you'll obviously know that at this point when watching the video. But anyway, so what I was doing is I was using the time of departure. I was adjusting the time of departure and my prograde delta V by left and right clicking on these buttons here and here. So if I right click, it advances forward or increases the delta V, and if I left click, it advances backwards in time and or decreases the delta V. The same with normal on radio here. And these numbers are the increments by which it increases or decreases. I'm explaining this to you, so I'm not paying attention. I'm also trying to do my attitude control. I'm doing a poor job of walking and chewing bubblegum at the same time, so forgive me. Alright, so that is that. I'm going to just put plus 5 times acceleration while I explain this. Okay, so you either go by 100, and what the units are here, actually, I have no idea. You just do it in practice. 110, 1, 0.1, and 0.01. So those are your increments, and you need to adjust those accordingly. So once I get out here, I'll make another maneuver node, and I'll try and walk that 45.1 kilometers in. And I have a feeling it has to do with the relative inclination, as small as it is. 45 kilometers on this large of a scale is very easily produced by that much of a difference in inclination, which is 468 millionths. That's hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, millions, tens of millions, 10 millions, 100. So 468 millionths. Is that correct? Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, trillions. No, 468 trillionths of a degree. Yeah, I don't know. You math guys out there are probably slapping your head with your palm, and I apologize for that, but it's after midnight here, and I get up at 7 in the morning every day, so y'all gotta forgive me a little bit, okay? Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and increase our warp speed or time warp rather, to get closer to this burned time. We're going to burn for a minute. It's 850, so we're finally going to get rid of this albatross of a mass on the back of our ship, which will make our attitude control much, much easier when rendezvousing with the next derelict ship. Alright. I need to get out of map view because I'm going to have to stage. 3, 2, 1, 0, 5. Okay, this is new me. I decided to fast forward this a little bit, and my voice was getting overpowered by the rocket engine anyway, and we can see it a little bit faster. So basically what I'm doing in this section of the video is I'm maneuvering to try and rendezvous, right? And one of the things we want to take into account is that closest approach is based on the maneuver and not on where my actual ballistic path is, right? So what we want to do is, once we get to a certain point that's close enough, I'm going to delete that maneuver node by clicking the orange X on the navigation ball. And what that's going to do for me is I'm going to stay in the same attitude, and I'm just going to kind of tap it a little bit, just tap shift a little bit, and then go back to X, so that I can walk my way in and see what my actual closest approach is going to be versus what the theoretical closest approach is if I perfectly executed that maneuver, which, you know, you never perfectly execute it, because you might not have enough thrust to weight ratio, you might not be pointed exactly in the right spot on that blue dot. But whatever the case may be, if you delete it right before you achieve it and then walk it in a little bit, it will allow you to see what your actual distance is. And so that's what I did here. Go ahead and delete that. F5. And let's see what I'm going to do here is I'm going to limit my thrust, and again I want to I'm right clicking on that so that stays up, and you notice it changed to a darker hue. I'm just punching it, and that's not good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse. Try and go ahead and walk this in as much as I can now, because the more I do it now, the more efficient it'll be. Yeah, okay. And so we'll F5 that. Let's see if we can't. Does that change anything? Not really. So we'll zero that out. What about increasing speed? Kind of all over the place, huh? Yeah, I don't think it can calculate it that accurately. It's too eccentric of an orbit. So we're just going to have to figure this out as we get there. We have it saved, so if we have problems. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to warp here. And so we'll just warp to there. Okay, and I'm going to cut it here for this episode. Next episode, we will actually rendezvous with the second Kerbal. Thanks for watching as always. Talk to y'all later. Bye.